Hello and welcome. This is the Adult Sunday School lesson for the First Baptist Church of Alabaster for August 23rd, 2020. This is the Explore the Bible curriculum. The title of this week's lesson is Relational Foundations. And we'll be looking at the Song of Solomon, or some call it the Song of Songs. We're going to be starting at chapter 2, verse 15, and we'll go through chapter 3, verse 5. So I hope you have your copy of the Word of God and turn to the Song of Solomon, and we'll start at verse 15, chapter 2. Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that spoil the vineyards, for our vineyards are in blossom. My beloved is mine, and I am his. He grazes among the lilies, until the day breathes and the shadows flee. Turn, my beloved, be like a gazelle, or a young stag on cleft mountains. Going into chapter 3. On my bed by night I sought him whom my soul loves. I sought him, but found him not. I will rise now and go about the city, in the streets and in the squares. I will seek him whom my soul loves. I sought him, but found him not. The watchmen found me as they went about in the city. Have you seen him whom my soul loves? Scarcely had I passed them when I found him whom my soul loves. I held him and would not let him go, until I had brought him into my mother's house, and into the chamber of her who conceived me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the does of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. Now, to interpret the Song of Solomon, we need to understand the nature of this book and its context. It has been interpreted in many ways and different ways. I'll touch on 4 of those interpretations. One, in which I tend to favor, is from the ancient times. Some have looked upon it as an allegory, a symbolic representation. In Jewish tradition, the bridegroom was thought to be God, and the bride was the nation of Israel. In early Christian circles, it was seen as a story of Christ, the bridegroom, and his bride, the church. The allegorical interpretation finds support in the many instances in scriptures in which divine love is compared to human love. And you can look in Isaiah chapter 62, Jeremiah chapter 2, Hosea chapter 3, 2 Corinthians chapter 11, and even into the book of Revelation, chapter 19. Other interpreters see the Song of Solomon as a beautifully written ode in praise of a love that is stronger than death. A pure love that originally came into the world as God's gift to mankind. They point out that the Bible frowns upon polygamy and infidelity and partakes of the spirit in which Elizabeth Browning wrote to her husband this phrase: I love thee with the breath, with smiles, tears of all my life. And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. Still, another interpreter see the story as an ancient Jewish morality play intended to underscore the tragic consequences of illicit love. According to this view, the maiden or shepherdess and her lover have an illicit love affair, and later she is taken into the king's harem, but goes on nurturing a love that can never be. Her painful longing for her lover and her growing fear that he has abandoned her are all part of the price she pays for their earlier romantic involvement. According to this view, the Song of Solomon teaches its readers that relationships that ignore religious beliefs and family tradition can only end in misery. And still another, there are those who started in the 20th century that understand the Song of Solomon as simply a collection of love poems on a common theme rather than a single poetic love story. Now consider this summary of the basic plot of the Song of Solomon. The story of a maiden or a shepherdess, a woman who tends sheep, who is passionately in love with a young shepherd. They first became lovers about the time she reached maturity. This incurred the disapproval of her brothers because it brought shame to the family name and also ruined the brothers' chances of arranging a lucrative marriage contract for her. See, if they could arrange one with somebody wealthy, then her family would benefit greatly from that. But later, at some point, she went to the harem, she went to the harem of King Solomon, and this was a great profit to her family. However, she still loved her shepherd and continued to cherish her relationship with him, even though she belonged to King Solomon. Now, there are dual titles to this book, and I generally use the title, the Song of Solomon. But at times it's called the Song of Psalms, and sometimes, some translations, and your translation may use the Song of Songs. But both titles come from the first verse, Solomon's Song of Songs. The double use of the noun songs in Song of Songs is an expression. It's like the Holy of Holies, if you will, that implies this is the best of all songs. Now, the other title, Song of Solomon, could be rendered either the song which is about Solomon or the song in which is by Solomon. Another possible translation is a Song of Songs I will sing to Solomon. But let's go ahead and look at verses 15 through 17 in chapter 2. Now, the Hebrew word for foxes can also be translated jackals. But whether foxes or jackals, just how such animals can spoil a vineyard is unclear. Perhaps by burrowing or the breaking of limbs. I suppose they could have an appetite for the fruit of the vine. It's possible, but it's still a little bit unusual, unclear why the foxes and jackals are used and could destroy a vineyard. Now, some interpreters suggest that the vineyard may be the maiden or the shepherdess, and the little foxes, the young men who try to assault her or take advantage of her. But the shepherdess resists their advances because she is devoted to the man whom she loves. Though we do not know the ancient writer's meaning in verse 16, meaning of all this, but verse 16 suggests that this can be seen as a metaphor that symbolizes one's devotion to her or his fiancé or marriage partner, if you will. Now, stated another way, lovers must resist those forces which would be destructive to their love and their relationship. In verse 17, until the break of day and the shadows fade. Now, this is a poetic way of saying all day long. It is presumptuous to insist that we know without question what the writer really had in mind here. But although we cannot be sure of the circumstances, these are the words of a woman who is deeply in love with the man who loves her and longs for his company. Some writers have suggested that evening was the time when the day breathed and it was cooler, pointing to a time when those in love might meet. The loving couple, longing for such a time to meet again, this is the depth of devotion that wives and husbands should have for one another. And we can certainly draw that from these verses. Going on into chapter 3, and verses 1 through 5, by night, the young woman's dream experience reflected the longing she felt during her waking hours. Her obsession for her lover turned into nightmares because she cannot find him. She went into the streets searching for her beloved in verse 2 and asked the town watchmen if they had seen him. And you go on into verse 3. The question she asked in verse 3, have you seen him whom my soul loves? Now shortly after that, she found him. She held him tight and took him to her family home. In verse 4. Now this suggests that this was not a secret love affair by no means. She surely would not have introduced a secret lover to her family. And it seemed like the watchmen also were familiar with this love affair. Her venture into the streets must have preceded her confinement in the king's harem, which that eventually occurred as well. Verse 5 is telling us that sexual love is to be avoided until the proper time and the proper person. This, of course, is the wedding night. If we allow these verses literally or follow the dream interpretations, this warning may not even make sense. But in a context of the shepherdess warning her friends that they maintain their virginity until the right time, then this verse is very much appropriate. Now, some readers regard this as a story of a sordid love affair. But in a Christian context, the love that leads to marriage and binds a husband and wife together is a beautiful thing. Genesis 2, verse 24 describes a couple who share this kind of love as being of one flesh. Both the Hebrew and the Greek terms translated flesh refer to the whole human being, not merely to the physical aspect of a person. So, the love that is depicted in the Song of Solomon might be described as a bond of mind, body, and soul. So, in concluding this, if you're married, think about this question. What positive steps can you take to continue to nurture your relationship, which should include the bond of mind, body, and soul? Could you have a date night? Could you schedule a time that you're alone together? Get away for a romantic weekend ever so often. So are there other things that you could do? Think about that. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope it's been an encouragement. Many have difficulty in studying the Song of Solomon. I hope you do not. We will look at it again next week as well. But I hope it has been a challenge to you to value the relationship you have with your spouse. Now, some adult classes have begun meeting on campus, respecting social distance guidelines, of course. Other classes are scheduling a time during the week so that larger space may be utilized. But Back to Church Sunday is scheduled for September 13th officially. It is our hope that all of our Sunday school classes will be meeting by that time. Some of them may not be meeting on campus, but hopefully we will be meeting by that time. My prayer for you is that you will continue to experience the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ today and the days ahead.